Hey bro, you
Yeah.
wanna go snowboarding?
What? No. Also, why are you in my closet?
How about now?
One of the games I played to death, and it holds another spot near and dear to my heart in a fountain of icy nostalgia. That is
1080.
is a game where you snowboard, and it's anything but boring, ding. You get it. It centers around you racing against another opponent down a variety of mountains and locales, all the while blasting through trees, surviving those scary moguls, catching that gnarly air, and landing those sick tricks to the coolest and catchiest soundtrack ever.
This is only a test. This is a test. This station is conducting a test of the emergency broadcast system.
Something I'd like to mention before we get into the nitty-gritty of today is that I never noticed how lonely this game can make you feel, or false sense of security that you're not alone. Cause sure, you have your opponent you're racing against, but other than that, it's just you on the mountain, and the other faces you see are at the finish line of these cardboard cutouts of what look like to be people cheering your victory or defeat. Almost like the whole circus act is just a facade. I understand it's an issue with the processing power of the N64 at the time. It wouldn't be able to render in a bigger, more lively audience, but it is a little eerie coming to the end and seeing these guys waiting for you. Not to mention the backgrounds in the skybox is such a drastic contrast to the rest of the environment, and some visuals give off a liminal feel. But hey, I love liminal space type shit, so I give it a pass. Released on April Fools in 1998 for North America, and made by Nintendo. Crazy, I thought it would be made by a more sport-oriented gaming company like, I don't know, EA Sports. Edge magazine quoted the game as the most convincing video game emulation of the snowboarding experience so far. And they're not wrong. You see, 1080 actually captures and incorporates a lot of aspects of snowboarding that makes snowboarding feel and look like snowboarding. And if you were to pick up the sport like I did, you'd see what I mean. Okay, let's race and choose our difficulty. So we got green circle, blue square, black diamond. What the heck? Oh, wait. Of course, if you don't know anything about snowboarding, skiing, or even mountain biking, apparently, you can't really appreciate how charming this really is. But you can use context clues, right? You learned about context clues, right? Oh. Right? Yes, when I was a wee lad, I didn't need to know that these symbols actually represent the steepness of a trail on a mountain. But it still conveys the idea that from left to right, the races are only going to get more harder, with tighter turns and varying levels of man-made and natural obstacles. One of those obstacles you encounter is, can you guess? It's snow. I mean, without it, it would be mud boarding or dirt boarding. Or if all the snow melted, it'd be waterboarding. Not the torture method. You see, there's a difference in types of snow that act as its own obstacle. There's fluffy powdered snow and packed snow, much like you'd see on an actual ski resort. And the physics do a fairly good job at displaying this difference by the way you maneuver through it. You see, in IRL snowboarding, you put more of your weight towards your tail when riding in powdered snow to keep your nose above water, so to speak. Otherwise, you just sink to the bottom and get stuck. But the more important distinction is the speed aspect, because in 1080, the powdered snow is usually reserved for shortcut areas. In other words, places you wouldn't ride through, which is exactly where powdered snow is on the mountain, IRL. Whereas the packed snow is more slick with less friction and icy, allowing for more speed. And we gotta slow down. And taking a look at the manual here, we don't really got a slow down button. Again, 1080 displays how slowing down is for the sport. You see how I can't do this. Again, 1080 displays how slowing down is like for the sport. You see, you must initiate the falling leaf technique, where you go perpendicular to the fall line of the mountain. And to initiate such maneuver, you must move your weight over to one side of your board and lift either both heels or toes of your board, respectively. So now if we just take our trusty little controller and turn left, then down, oh my god, it's just like real life! The analog stick is no longer just a controlling mechanism, but can be interpreted as being an extension of your snowboard. Of course, not to the degree of another game that comes to mind, skate series of games. But you get my point. Can I take this off? It's getting really hot in here, man. Like, I can't do this anymore. Oh my god. Not only that, but the way Nintendo went about their turning, or carving, makes also for an interesting topic. For when you turn on a snowboard and shift your weight to one side and lift both appropriate heels or toes up, like I've mentioned before, the edge of the board digs into the snow and pulls you in the desired direction. And the way they went about this in 1080, well, if you turn left, then center the stick, you'll continue to turn left for a little bit, until you decide to take divine intervention and make your dude turn the opposite way. Kind of like you're not really controlling the board's direction, but your character's weight and body position over his snowboard, allowing for more realistic representation of physics. And speaking of physics, remember when James Isaac Neutron's head was caved in by a tungsten apple, and he discovered grab titties? Or gravity, and now every time we jump, we have to bend our legs to soften the fall? Well, guess what? 1080's got this too, because now, jumping, or doing an ollie, is not just one button and forget about it. Now you must time your descent to the approaching ground and press the tuck button to soften the fall on your calcium deficient bones. And just like gateway drugs, you know what jump is going to lead to, right? Now let's do a whole frontside 180 and talk about the snowboard tricks, because yes, you can do snowboard tricks, but they're nothing to write home about, because they took a Tony Hawk Pro Skater type of route, where the tricks have a button combo that is limited to the analog stick's already limited range of motion. I mean, look, it's divided into an offset octagon. But I mean, hey, the skate series of games wouldn't come out for another 10 years or so, so innovation's not here yet. But the innovation on these graphics, I mean, come on, the little snow tracks you leave behind, the way the powdered snow explodes when you hit it at Mach 10, or the way the snow particles fall from the cloudy sky, giving the sensation of a otherworldly winter wonderland. You know, when it's not trying to kill you. With all that being said, 1080 was and still is a game I enjoy playing, and now that I'm older and can look back on it, I can truly appreciate all the thought that went into this game, by the way you carve down the mountain, the way you interact with the environment, and all the charming little details that further immerse you into the mountain. I'd like to encourage all of you to go out and play this game illegally. Legally. Follow the law, kids. Project 64. Because it is a fun little game to mess around in, and just take in the winter sport vibes. And of course, to listen to that bustin' soundtrack. Hello?